Hello there guys, it's Captain Visible here and welcome to another online battle for Medieval 2 Total War. And this is a 2 versus 2 on the Pavia map, and I'm in command of the Polish, a really nice faction. I'm really fond of the Polish. They are the first faction I ever played as online, and they are also the first faction I ever won as online, so I have to give props to the Polish for that. They are a really interesting faction, if a little underpowered for what they are. And my ally for this battle is HusKatten, in command of the Moors, and we are up against KmanBEASTALiCIOUS as the Scottish, and Drunk, who may or may not be drunk in this battle. He most certainly is drunk, but he might not be drunk. Yeah, Kman, he's in quite a lot of my videos. I always appreciate fighting with him and against him. He's a very good player, and as I say, for some reason he always ends up in my videos, which is always a good thing to happen. So, the Pavia map, quite an interesting map with this interesting hill and all these forests on each flank. And my idea behind my Polish army was to bring a couple of these Strelski for harassment, backed up by a hussar, bring these Lithuanian archers for their use of the stakes, and then bring an infantry corps of dismounted Polish knights. I believe I've got 5 of them, filled in by some halberd militia and some woodsmen, and then my cavalry, or my main cavalry force, is 2 units of these Polish guards and a general's bodyguard. So not too heavy on the heavy cavalry, it's all in my light cavalry in this battle. These Strelski are taking up 2 units of cavalry for me, so I have to use them effectively. So what I decided to do is I decided to move up with them to the edge of these woods and try and get some hit and run tactics off against these Scottish. So whilst the Scottish are trying to get into formation, I'm going to shoot at their flanks with some armor-piercing bolts from my Strelski. I'm going to see if we can kill them, or at least weaken them for the up-and-coming fight. So just get some preliminary shots off. Kman and Drunk were looking to do a sort of counter-rush build, seeing obviously that I picked Poland, and Poland is quite a good rush-orientated faction. But I did know that they would bring a lot of pikemen, and I knew that bringing heavy cav with Poland would have been disastrous against pike armies. So I went for a nice skirmish-orientated build, and I've moved up my Lithuanian archers to take some shots as well from sort of the base of this hill. So they're going to let fly as well. And we're going to get some more shots against these Scottish forces as they still try and get into position. But I do have to admire Kman's dedication here to his formation. Any lesser player would have probably charged forward by now and tried to engage all these archer units, but by doing that, he would have abandoned his ally, and that's a big mistake, isolating yourself against 2 armies with that impatient prey. So I do admire him for sort of setting up first, not letting it bother him, because to be honest, there's about 15-20 kills here, and that's from the time he's managed to set up, and now he's going to push forward. Now he's in formation, so there wasn't a lot of kills, but from the skirmishing. So he did well just to be patient and just sit back and get into formation first. And now him and the Sicilians are ready to rush forward. Cavalry being the spearhead of this attack, and he's going to go straight for this gap where, other than my Strelski and these peasant crossbowmen, there's not really a lot defending. The Murch Cav's going to try come forward, and my hussars are going to try come forward to defend my archers. but there's just way too much Scottish cavalry, and they're just going to come in and take out my archers. My woodsmen are going to charge down to try and defeat these heavy knights, but they're just going to be sent to heaven in more ways than one. So my hussars managed to stop this charge and do actually do pretty well actually. Hussars are not to be messed with, and they send these Knights Hospitaller back to their own lines. So the rush is real. He managed to catch one of my Stralski as well, which are going to get caught in melee, and he's engaged these Moorish cavalry and infantry. So he's going to really mess things up for the formations, and he manages to the Moorish cavalry gets stuck in melee with these pikemen as well, which is going to be quite bad for them. So the Scottish lines are set up, ready to engage the Moors. The Sicilians have moved over to this side to assist the Scottish in breaking through this section of the army. And seeing this, I'm going to rush up my heavy knights onto this, or heavy dismounted knights onto this hill to look over the Sicilian formations marching their way up. Then I spot all of this Sicilian cav, and there's a lot of Sicilian cav here. I believe the maximum cav was 6, and there is most definitely 6 cavalry here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I believe these guys are lagging behind from this formation, so a nice column of 5 units of cav here, and all I've got to defend it is 2 units of Polish Guard and my general, so I have to use my cavalry effectively. I decided the first thing I should do is probably get the downhill bonus and catch these knights off guard, catch them without a charge. And Polish Guard will definitely beat the chivalric knights in a melee engagement. In fact, getting a really nice charge against these chivalric knights, not stopping at all. And again, another downhill charge from the general's bodyguard into this unit of chivalric knights, getting really stuck into the heavy cavalry. I'm going to try stop these 2 units from flanking with another unit of Polish Guard. The great thing about these stakes are that they're going to stop the heavy cavalry from flanking too far around this way. If I can block this section with my Polish Guard, there's no cavalry going to be coming around this way due to the stakes. So nice position there. And then I've got my Stralski in this on this hill up here, taking some pot shots against any cavalry that are trying to pull back. That one's going a bit high. So yeah, any cavalry that pulls back to try and get another charge is going to get shot up by my Stralski. Polish Guard still looking to engage. I believe I'll try get a rear charge here. Yeah, my Polish Guard's going in for a rear charge here. They're not an effective one, they seem to have the swords out. And they're going to get sandwiched in by some general's bodyguard. So not the best charge there by the Polish Guard, but this unit Polish Guard is holding 2 units of knights here. And my Stralski are trying to support, but they are going to get charged by some chivalric knights. So they're possibly going to rout, or I'm possibly going to pull them back.
The enemy force remains.
So a nice cavalry fight there, being held off by my Polish Guard. The morale of these Moorish troops is breaking though. A lot of these urban militia and halberd militia not being able to stand up to the combined Scottish and Sicilian forces, and a lot of them are going to break. A nice gap forming here where the Scottish have managed to just push straight through. The lines are holding down this side, but there's a lot of dead Moorish cavalry here. So the Moors are really taking a hammering, and as I say, there are a lot of routing from the enemy troops, from the Moorish troops, should I say. But the Polish knights are still holding strong. The lines will hold. We've got pikemen and sword and buckler men, and there's some Norman knights over on this side still fighting. But the Polish knights will hold, and will hold for a while. Their heavy armour is going to be the saving grace here. Still some more Norman knights crashing in, but the Polish knights are going to hold. This guy's got a bit overeager. So yeah, some glorious fighting here. Really, really beautiful. Really glorious. Strowski still fighting on. We're going to try and get some still get some hit and run tactics off against these heavy cavalry. A lot of them are falling, and the general's Polish guard's gonna meet this chivalric knight unit, which is still gonna catch up to my Ostrowski and really get into them. He's really focused on getting into my cavalry here and defeating this missile cav, which is always a good idea because these guys, they are decent in melee for missile cav, but they're not the best in melee against this super heavy cav. So he's going to catch them and possibly rout a few of them here. They really don't. Their morale is really not that great in these kind of situations. But I still have some Polish guard left, and my general is still alive in a unit of 5, so he is still standing. And the Sicilian cav, as numerous as it was, has been whittled down beyond its optimal strength, and the lines are still holding. The Polish knights still fighting on, still defeating these Norman knights.
The enemy force remains.
I always find that the dismounted Polish knights are the sort of chivalric knight quality, but to be honest, the morale makes them slightly better than the chivalric knights. I always find that they do outperform chivalric knights in these sorts of engagements, and they are really fighting strong against these Scottish pikemen as well. Sicily is trying to support Scotland over on this side, who's formed a quite strong pike wall here. All of these pikes are going to be just so hard to break through for the Moors. They call it pike death. This is like Paladin Bob's heaven right here. All of these pikemen. They'll certainly be saving this video to the archive, if you know what I mean. But yeah, just such an amazing formation, and these urban militia and Christian guard are not going to be able to get through this. The infantry of the Moors is really thinning out, but they do get a breakthrough over here. The combination of fire arrows, the general's bodyguard getting stuck in, and the numerical superiority on this side has managed to break some of these weaker morale troops. The pike militia and the noble swordsmen breaking on that side, and that's going to free up this flank to be able to flank all of these troops, the Sicilian troops and the Scottish pikemen. So even though the Scottish pikemen are sort of funneling in these Moorish troops into this pike wall death, they are slowly getting surrounded by units like this cavalry and other such units on this side as well. And these are only heavy heavy Scots pike militia, so their morale's not that good, even though they've got quite good armour. So these units are going to break fairly quickly, and it's going to cause a chain rout of these Scottish forces, which were holding so well, are now going to be fleeing, and it's going to free up all of these Moorish troops to then push forward onto these Sicilian dismounted broken lancers that also don't have a very good morale. The dismounted Polish knights still fighting strong. These guys are the ones without armour. I believe I only had enough to spend armour upgrades on, I believe, 3 or 4 units of my Polish knights. These guys are really putting up a very good fight. I'd say I'm always impressed. Oof, right in the head, Jesus. I'm always really impressed with these Polish knights every time I see them fight. I say for some reason they just outperform the chivalric knights. I'm always very impressed with how long they hold. I mean, it must be the morale that's higher than the chivalric knights, because they just do not want to break. And they've had cavalry in the flank and all sorts. In fact, speaking of cavalry in the flank, my cavalry I think has finally been routed, and there's still a handful of Sicilian cavalry left, which is going to come crashing in to deal some justice against the dismounted Polish knights, getting really stuck in. It's going to cause these knights to become shaken. I don't believe they'll rout. I believe their morale rebalances especially after seeing pike militia rout. I think that would increase anyone's morale. And I've still got some archers left that have been putting down fire arrows for the entire battle. And we're just going to put it on 1 speed now, because it's been in half speed all the way through this battle. It was that fast. These battles, these kind of rush orientated battles, really do last minutes. It's like 15 minutes of a battle, and it just lasts so quick. So the general's bodyguard now, the Sicilian general, still nice and shiny, are getting peppered by fire arrows and crossbow bolts, and now being engaged with dismounted Polish knights and still fighting like a badass. It's really stuck in, and he's like taking fire arrows to the back, and his knights are getting hit by crossbow bolts, and he's just still fighting. Truly an excellent warrior. But his army is broken. The rest of his army has routed, and he will soon be put to the sword.
Our men have slain the enemy general.
And there goes the brave general of the battlefield.
That goes to only men of great virtue and valor.
And that's it, guys. That's the battle. A very nice battle, a really great one with Poland. As I say, I really do like Poland. They are a very underused faction, and I do see why. They are not too great, but they do have some strengths. I always imagined them as a heavy cavalry faction, but actually a combination of the Streltsy and the Hussars is actually quite a good way of using them. The Hussars are a really great cavalry to bring really fast and really deadly on the charge. But the Streltsy, I've found, if you bring a couple of them and flank with them, you can actually get some pretty good kills with their crossbows against the backs of units, and to really whittle down heavy cavalry to make them basically useless on the battlefield. And the Polish Guard can handle themselves pretty well against most of the cavalry, so a couple of those guys can hold back, as you saw, about 5-6 units of cavalry So yeah, the Strelski really are an excellent unit for Poland to use in combination. And even though their infantry isn't as varied as other factions, you do get the use of the dismounted Polish knights, which seem to be better than chivalric knights in my opinion. Really can hold quite well, and do always stick to the battlefield even though they are at odds with the enemy. So the battle results. I did quite well with my cavalry. Let's just have a look at the stats. Yeah, the Polish Guard, you're 67, 61, not too bad from them. They are very expensive cavalry though, so I believe they were holding more than actually killing. The Strelski, 40 and 46, I would have liked to see more, especially after they got into that excellent position at the start. But they were good at harassing the enemy and really getting them off balance with regards to the heavy cavalry having to feel like it had to engage them, get them off the battlefield. And the Hussars, they did end up in pikemen, so those kills are almost purely on the Knights Hospitaller and eventually the pikemen that they got into. So pretty impressive from the Hussars. But the real meat of my army was in these dismounted Polish knights, and they held and killed and held some more and killed some more. So they were pretty impressive in this battle, really doing some damage to the enemy. The halberd militia, even though they were heavily upgraded, didn't really do too much in this battle. They were more of a filler unit, and to be honest, I'm trying to find a use for halberd militia. I did do a halberd tactics video whereby I kind of discussed using them in big blocky formations, mixed in with pikemen and other units. But because Poland doesn't really have pikemen, I don't think they were used as effectively as they could have been. But they were there just to add meat and block up that gap between me and my ally. The woodsmen got absolutely stomped on by the enemy cavalry, although they seem to have come out with 20 kills from somewhere. I believe the downhill charge helped, but to be honest, they were getting absolutely smashed. So I didn't really expect much from those guys. They were just there to, again, fill the ranks, make the enemy work for those kills. And then the Lithuanian archers, again, even though they were getting some good kills at the start, really not performing that well. I would have liked to have seen more from them. But they're only Lithuanian archers. I use them simply because of the stakes, and the stakes were the most important part of this battle, restricting the Sicilian cavalry's movement. So they serve their purpose in that regard, and they're not too bad for a cheap archer unit. So in terms of kills, I got 891 kills. Again, a lot of those were my dismounted Polish knights. So really impressed by those guys as usual. The Moes under HusKatten. Again, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I am sorry, but you really shouldn't shove those sort of letters in the same name. It doesn't come out right in my head, so I do apologise. It sounds like Husk and then Aten or Atan. But yeah, again, I do apologise if I slaughter your name. 904 kills and 281 captures, so really great on his side. Really doing well to hold for one, especially when the centre broke, and then pull it back against the Scottish pikemen. Drunk, only getting 470 kills. I believe that was purely down to the fact that he brought Sicily. Sicily, they're an okay faction, but the lack of morale, the lack of effective cavalry that were on the battlefield, and the pike militia all served to really hinder his attack. Sicily, again, the morale is just too low for what they are and what they're capable of. Even the sword and buckler men would not have been able to hold out morale-wise when coming up against my dismounted Polish knights. And a better faction with the same sort of results would have been a faction like probably Russia, maybe. Although, well, with Russia you want to bring the dismounted Devor, and they are pretty good in melee anyway. Although their morale is still pretty poor. If you're going to bring a pike faction, maybe the Holy Roman Empire would have been better. The Holy Roman Empire's Teutonic Knights would have absolutely eaten my Polish Guard alive. The heavy armour of the Polish Guard would have meant nothing to them, and they could have powered on through and flanked my infantry, killed my general, and that would have been it. My line would have broken, and then he could have swept aside the Moors as well. So yeah, Sicily not the best faction. In this kind of situation, if you wanted pikes and to be able to win in the heavy cavalry fight, the Holy Roman Empire would have been the best faction choice in my opinion. But he did some great manoeuvres. It was just unfortunate that, I say, the Sicilian morale just isn't that good. And then Scotland under KmanBEASTALiCIOUS, probably doing the best out of us all, minusing captures, 912 kills. The Scottish pike formation was absolutely beautiful. I could not have done it better myself, and I have done a lot with pikes. And he wasn't phased by me shooting at him, which is good. It shows a good player who can stand there and get shot at and know that it is not going to affect his game at all. And yeah, he really did push quite well against the Moors. The problem was, by the time he did that and he got into position and engaged the Moors, it was all down to the Scottish heavy pike militia. They just did not have the morale to be outflanked like that and stand the ground, which is why I generally go for noble pikemen unless I really can't afford them. But yeah, again, I could not have faulted his pike play. It was just purely down to the morale of those Scottish pike militia. They just were not ready for this battle. So I hope you enjoyed this battle. This one was an excellent, really fun game to play. As I say, Poland, one of my favourite factions in the game, and a really fun one to play as. So I hope you all enjoyed this battle, and thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you all in the next video.